Recruiters are not messaging you on LinkedIn, and it's not because of your degree or your university or how many connections you have. It's one specific thing on your profile that almost every job seeker gets wrong. And until you fix it, you could spend the next year sending applications, sending cold messages, and nobody on the other side is ever going to reach out to you first. So in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to give you the exact 3-part headline formula that takes a profile from being invisible to recruiters messaging you within weeks. And I'm going to show you the 4 mistakes most candidates make in the header of their profile, and that is the part where 81% of profile views actually happen. I'm going to walk you through the About section framework I teach inside the Offer Accelerator that actually makes recruiters stop and scroll. And I'm going to do it all using a real candidate I worked with who went from 0 recruiter messages to over 50 inbound messages in 6 weeks. So here's why this all matters. 63% of LinkedIn's entire revenue comes from talent sourcing. So this is their main business. They charge businesses about £9,500 per year per recruiter to use their recruiter software. These are real people with real budgets searching for candidates exactly like you every single day. But the average candidate is getting 0 inbound messages because LinkedIn Recruiter, which is that software, works basically like an ATS system. So the recruiter, they're going to type in some keywords, their job titles, skills, and locations, and the system just spits out a ranked list. And if your profile is not built for that list, you don't appear. You are invisible, and the recruiter doesn't even know you exist. So let me start with the thing that almost nobody understands, which is the actual reason recruiters scroll past your profile and never come back. So LinkedIn is not really a social network. It's a search engine for talent. And every time a recruiter lands on your profile, they make a decision in 10 seconds or less. So you either look like the kind of person they want to message, or you look like every other candidate they've already scrolled past today. And the reason most candidates lose this game is just one thing. They sound like everybody else. Their headline says, student at University of Manchester, and their About section is just completely empty, or it's a copy and paste from their CV. And their banner is just that default LinkedIn template and a really bad profile picture. And the recruiter takes one look and they just move on. Now, the good news is that this is fixable. It's not your CV, it's not your experience or your university. It's the way you are positioned on the page. And you can fix it, the entire thing, today. So I had a candidate called Adam. He was a master's grad in finance. He had decent grades. He didn't have any proper internships, and he was applying to graduate roles in London. His LinkedIn was just sitting there. It was a default banner, a photo cropped out of a group selfie, and his headline literally said, master's student at the University of Manchester. That was it. He'd sent over 200 applications, and he had 0 recruiters messaging him for months, like not a single one. And he generally thought that he needed more experience. So what we did is we rebuilt his entire profile. And the first thing was a new headline using the 3-part formula I'm about to show you now. It was a proper headshot and a banner that actually said something about him, and an About section that told the story of why he was in finance. And 6 weeks later, he had over 50 inbound messages from recruiters, and he landed a finance analyst role at one of the top firms in London. And I'm going to be sharing Adam's story because what I'm about to tell you actually works if you apply it in the right way. So step 1 is your headline. This is the single most important part of your LinkedIn profile. And 81% of the time that people spend on your profile is just on that section. The headline, the photo, and then the banner. And if you get this wrong, the rest just doesn't matter. And the formula that I want you to use is in 3 parts, and it's separated by that pipe symbol that you have on your keyboard. So the first part is what you want to be. So not what you currently are, what you want to become. So if you're applying for a data analyst role, your headline starts with data analyst, not final year student, and definitely not aspiring data analyst. Even if you've not done the role yet, that is what you put. Now the second part is then your skills. So you need to pick 2 or 3 hard skills that are relevant to that role. These are the keywords recruiters are typing into the search bar for data analyst, for example. So that would be Python, SQL, and Power BI. For a finance analyst, that would be like Bloomberg, Excel, or SWOT analysis. And then for a marketing role, it could be Google Analytics, HubSpot, and SEO. These skills are not optional. If they are not in your headline, you literally do not show up in the search. So pick the right ones and put them in. Now, the third part is an impact statement. This is one short sentence about the impact you want to make. This part is just nobody else does. Most candidates, they stop at the skills, but if you add a clear impact statement, you stop sounding like a list of features and start sounding like a person. So Adam's headline became Finance Analyst Intern, Bloomberg IBM SWOT, and then he put analyzing emerging markets to discover new and alternative agricultural investments. So, like, you notice what's happening there? He positioned himself at the role that he wants. He has the keywords recruiters are searching for, and the impact statement makes him sound like he actually thinks about the work, not just like he wants a job. So that is the headline formula. You've got the job title, the key skills, and the impact statement. So if you do those things correctly, you are ahead of 90% of the candidates on the entire platform. Now, step 2 is your profile picture and the banner. And together with your headline, this is your header. And this is the first thing every recruiter sees. The mistakes I constantly see are these. You've got selfies, cropped group photos, those fancy Canva graphics with your name slapped across the top. Or worst of all, the default gray silhouette where you have not even uploaded a photo. And any of these, a recruiter is going to be moving on. So what you actually want is a face-on headshot, dressed how you would dress for the job. So if you don't wear a suit for the job, don't wear a suit in your profile picture. And then put it on an interesting background. That could be a city skyline, university building, anything that just isn't a plain wall. And then for your banner, do not customize it with your name and job title plastered over it. Don't use a stock photo and just put, basically standard practice would be a clean daytime city skyline from your local city or a photo of your university campus. Anything professional and clean. The whole point of the header is for a recruiter to look at it and think, this person is serious and they know what they're doing. That's the bar. Now, step 3 is your about section. This is where the remaining 19% of profile time gets spent. So it matters less than the header, but for the recruiters who actually do scroll down, this is where you turn a profile view into an actual message. So it is really important. And the mistake that most candidates make is what they do is they copy and paste their CV. They list their experiences, or they just leave it blank. And both are just a complete waste of opportunity in that section. So what you actually want to do is tell your story. And it's in 5 parts. So the first part is your story. That's the origin, the interest of why you're in that field. Where did this come from? Why did you get into the industry that you're in? The second part is then your background. So the academic and the work path you've taken so far. Then you move on to your journey. So how have you progressed? What has shaped you into who you are today? And then the fourth part is then, what are you doing today? What are you doing right now? And what you're learning, what you're building, anything that you want to do right now. And then the final part is then your future. So what are the roles you're targeting next and where you want to go in the future? So for Adam's about section, he opened up with how he grew up watching his family struggle with savings during the 2008 crisis, how that it got him into finance, and he chose Manchester to focus on emerging markets and that he wanted to do that next. And then the story made recruiters stop. I'm going to put an image on the screen here of his exact screenshot of his about section story. And that story made recruiters stop because nobody else was writing like that. Everybody else was just listing their modules. And whilst you're writing the about section, load it with the same keywords from your headline. So if for the analyst roles, Python, SQL, Bloomberg, whatever applies to your field, because LinkedIn pulls from your about section into the search as well. So the words have to be there. Now, the fourth step is the open to work setting. And this is the one that most people get wrong because they think they're doing it right. If you turn on the open to work, it's going to come up with that green banner and it shows on your profile, and that's just signaling desperation. Recruiters can see it and they will assume you've been on the market for a while and nobody else has wanted you. So don't do that. What you do instead is you set open to work to recruiters only. So only people with LinkedIn Recruiter license, which is that software I spoke about earlier, can actually see that you're open. Update it once a week, like keep your target job titles, your locations, and your start dates current, and keep it targeted. Don't select every single job under the sun. Pick the specific roles you actually want. And this one setting alone will get you more inbound recruiter messages because the LinkedIn Recruiter software will surface you in the right searches without making you look desperate to anybody else. So that is the whole entire profile sorted. It's your headline, your photo and banner, your about section, your open to work setting. If you get those 4 things right, you're in the top 10% of candidates on the platform. Now look, the reason most candidates don't do this is not because the framework is hard. It's because they've had nobody telling them what good actually looks like. They don't know what to put in their headline. They don't know how to write the about section. And they're just guessing. So they end up sounding like everybody else. And that is exactly what we fix inside the Offer Accelerator. You get that full LinkedIn profile template and a full audit, the headline formula with examples for every industry, the About section prompt series that writes the first draft for you, and the recommendations template you can send to past colleagues, and a coach who reviews your actual profile before you publish it. So the link's in the description if you want to check it out. But generally, even if you don't, open your LinkedIn right now, look at your headline. If it says student at or looking for opportunities in or aspiring X, fix it. Use the 3-part formula: the job title, the skills, the impact statement. Then sort your photo, then write your about section using that 5-part story. And you do that this week, and you'll already be ahead of most people using LinkedIn who are applying to the same jobs as you.